The opening number. In the theater, the opening number is crucial in setting the mood and tone of the evening. A number of rules and formulae must be followed. First, it is essential to begin with an instantly recognizable star. Or, barring that, to create an aura of suspense so that the star entrance may occur after a sufficient amount of tension and anticipation have been built up. This may be accomplished through the utilization of a variety of theatrical elements. 1, lighting. 2, set. 3, costumes. Then we add the human element, the orchestra, the chorus, and of course, the aforementioned star entrance. Which we will get to in a moment. First, the choice of the opening number. The opening song must be appropriate to the show's occasion. I have suggested Give My Regards to Broadway. The number should begin softly.
Give my regards to Broadway. Remember me to Herald Square. You gotta tell all the gang down at 42nd Street that I will soon be there.
Its rhythm should be infectious.
Yearning to mingle with the old-time crowd.
The number should build
Give my regards
so that all the elements of the theater are brought together.
to Broadway.
The star entrance. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Angela Lansbury.
I was reading an interview with myself recently. I don't usually find myself fascinating, but I must say that on this occasion, I was. You see, it was from 1960, while I was appearing on Broadway in A Taste of Honey. This was my second play here. My family was back home in California, and when we opened, a reporter had asked me what I thought about when I was on stage. And I answered, quite honestly, that what I was usually thinking was, what the hell am I doing here? I want to go home. And reading that made me think of another time, a few years later, on the opening night of Mame at the out-of-town tryout. The performance was 40 minutes too long. My wigs were flying off in the middle of the numbers, but somehow it dawned on me on stage that night in Philadelphia that I was home. So from all of us who have come home tonight to celebrate the best of the theater, welcome to the American Theater Wing's Tony Awards.
Tonight, people have gathered from all over the world to celebrate the theater's greatest night. Live from New York, the 41st Annual Tony Awards. with our host, Angela Lansbury, and appearances by Jane Alexander, Beatrice Arthur, Richard Chamberlain, Len Close, Charles Honey Coles, Barbara Cook, Hume Cronin, Bob Fosse, Mark Hamill, Helen Hayes, Jerry Herman, William Hurt, Bill Irwin, Swoozie Kurtz, John Lithgow, Mary Martin, Walter Matthau, Mary Tyler Moore, Bernadette Peters, Lynn Redgrave, Cheetah Rivera, George Rhodes, Jessica Tandy, Tommy Toon, Kathleen Turner, Gwen Burton, and performances from Broadway Bound, Coastal Disturbances, Fences, Les Liaisons Dangereuses, Me and My Girl, Les Misérables, Rags, and Starlight Express.
In pre-war London, everyone was doing this rather peculiar dance. It was all the rage and had been introduced in the musical inspired by the spirit of the English music hall. The story was of a Cockney wag who suddenly discovers he is the true and genuine Lord of Hereford. Now, that show took its own time coming to New York, but once it arrived, Me and My Girl and its star Robert Lindsay found themselves as much the rage as that strange dance had once been, and is again the first of our 4 nominated musicals, Me and My Girl.
Now listen, you could no more walk the Lambeth way than we could walk the Mayfair way. You know, Lambeth, you've never seen. The skies ain't blue, the grass, it ain't green. It hasn't got the Mayfair touch, but, well, that don't matter very much. We play a different way, not like you, but a bit more gay. When we have a bit of fun, oh boy. Anytime you'll Lambeth way, any evening, any day, you'll find us all doing the Lambeth walk. Oi! Every little Lambeth gal with a little Lambeth pal, you'll find us all doing the Lambeth walk. Oi! Everything free and easy, just as you know well, please. Why don't you make your way down? Go down, stay down. Once you get down Lambeth way, every evening, every day, you'll find yourself doing the Lambeth walk. Oi!
Anytime you're Lambeth way, any evening, any day, you'll find us all doing the Lambeth walk. Okay, every little Lambeth gal with a little Lambeth pal, you'll find them all doing the Lambeth walk.
Everything bright and breezy, do as you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, former Tony winners Tommy Tune and Honey Coles.
Evening. We're here to present the Tonys for the outstanding featured performers in a musical. Now, I think the most special thing about this category is whether it comes at the beginning of your career or after a lifetime, you will always remember that they weren't watching you because your name was above the title. They were watching you because you were so damn good.
And the nominees for the... Thank you very much. And the nominees for the best performance by a featured actor in a musical are George S. Irving, Me and My Girl; Timothy Jerome, Me and My Girl; Michael Maguire, Les Misérables; and Robert Torti, Starlight Express. I was just going to forget about the winner, you know. The winner is Michael Maguire. Les Misérables.
Oh, this is an incredible honor. The only thing I can think of that's greater than this has been the honor and privilege I've had of being a part of Les Misérables. And for that, I'd like to thank John Caird, Trevor Nunn, and Cameron McIntosh, as well as the entire production staff and crew. God. I'd also like to thank my close friends for their support this past year, my parents, Mr. and Mrs. James Timberlake, Drew Carson, and my wonderful girlfriend, Susan Stroman. Most of all, more important than anything, I'd like to acknowledge the magnificent and versatile ensemble of Les Misérables. They are the backbone of the show, and they each deserve one of these. Thank you.
The nominees for the best performance by a featured actress in a musical are Jane Cannell, Me and My Girl; Judy Kuhn, Les Misérables; Frances Raffel, Les Misérables; and Jane Summerhays, Me and My Girl. And the winner is Frances Raffel, Les Misérables.
Thank you. Well, I had the privilege of creating my role in London, and I'll always be grateful to my directors, John Caird and Trevor Nunn, and my producer, Cameron McIntosh. And I really want to thank the wonderful, talented Broadway company who have made me feel so welcome here. And thank you so much for this.
The 41st Annual Tony Awards are sponsored by The Prudential, offering a full range of insurance and other financial services.
Our second musical nominee began as a children's concert written by a father for his son. That father, composer Andrew Lloyd Webber, decided to bring his story of a cross-country contest between a set of racing trains to theatrical life and created the stunning visual spectacular Starlight Express.
within you. Just believe in yourself, the sea will part before you. Stop the rain, turn the tide. If only you use the power within you. Needn't beg the world to turn around and help you. If you draw on what you have within you, somewhere deep inside.
Starlight Express, you must confess, are you real? Yes or no? Starlight Express, answer me yes. I don't want you to go.
Rusty, you're blind. Look in your mind, I'm there. Nothing's new. The Starlight Express is no more nor less than you, Rusty. I am you. I'm you. And only you.
I am the starlight.
And you.
I can achieve.
Just believe in yourself. The sea will part before you. Stop the rain, turn the tide. If only you.
I am the starlight.
Then me.
I can see it through.
Needn't beg the world to turn around and help you if you draw.
I won't let you down.
Diesel is for unbelievers. Electricity is wrong. Steam has got the power that will pull us along.
We see the light at the end of the tunnel. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. Just dig a hole and hold up the coal. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. So let the water boil. Goodbye to oil at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you. Good evening, I'm Lynn Redgrave. I think that the first time I realized the power that the people backstage have over us was when years ago I was starting out in London, England, the National Theatre of Great Britain, in a production of Hamlet playing Assorted Ladies. It was directed by Laurence Olivier, Peter O'Toole playing the Prince, and we had this magnificent set like a sort of lopsided dinosaur which was supposed to completely revolve with each scene change, and unfortunately one night it stuck, and all of us left on stage discovered that by shuffling our feet in unison, we could turn it ourselves very, very slowly. So for a good 6 minutes, the audience had this vision of a group of Elizabethans kind of doing the Charleston, saying the worst Shakespearean dialogue you've ever heard, like, yes, well, actually, how are things in Elsinore? Lovely. Yea, verily, my lord. Oh, my goodness. And this went on for some time, and paradoxically, those are the times when one tends to notice and appreciate the way these men and women known as the design team are able to transform a play. So, as they are clearly a force to be reckoned with, it is with an equal proportion of honor and fear that I present the next awards. The nominees for the Best Costume Design are Bob Crowley, Les Liaisons Dangereuses, Anne Curtis, Me and My Girl, John Napier, Starlight Express, Andriani Niefatou, Les Misérables, and the Tony Award goes to John Napier, Starlight Express.
Well, thanks again. I'd like to thank Ann Emmets, Alison Todd, Parsons Mears, who I didn't thank last time. They did Cats for me. I was a bit fast last time. Well, I got one. Thanks.
The nominees for Best Lighting Design are Martin Aronstein, Wild Honey, David Hersey, Les Misérables, David Hersey, Starlight Express, Chris Parry and Beverly Emmons, Les Liaisons Dangereuses, and the Tony Award goes to David Hersey, Les Misérables. David Hersey is in Tokyo, couldn't be with us this evening, so tough, David. The nominees for Best Scenic Design are Bob Crowley, Les Liaisons Dangereuses, Martin Johns, Me and My Girl, John Napier, Les Misérables, Tony Walton, The Front Page, and the Tony Award goes to John Napier, Les Misérables.
Which one is this? Right. I'd like to thank Keith Gonzalez, who's my assistant. He's in Tokyo and somewhere and some about 20 places it's going to. There's just one other thing I'd like to say. I know that, I was not supposed to feel things like, but it just seems a little peculiar to me that Starlight wasn't nominated. I'd give this actually just the being in the room. Okay, thanks.
The 41st Annual Tony Awards will return in a moment. The first Annual Tony Awards are sponsored by Citizen. No other watch expresses time more beautifully.
nominees for Best Play began in such diverse arenas as Broadway, off-Broadway, regional theatre, and London's West End. Tonight we'll be seeing moments from each of them. Actually, the first of these plays began over 40 years ago in a house in Brooklyn. Broadway Bound is the final chapter of Neil Simon's trilogy based on his own early years. Jonathan Silverman is the author's young alter ego, and Linda Lavin, his heroic mother, in this gift from a writer generous enough to look back on his life and see not just himself, but all of us.
What are you doing? Are you crazy sitting on my dining room table like that?
I'm sorry. I didn't leave any marks.
Marks I can clean off. I never want to see you show disrespect to this table. My grandfather made this table with his own hands for my grandmother. Over 52 years she had this table. When I was a little girl, I'd go to her house. She'd let me help her polish it. I didn't know it was work. I thought it was fun. Maybe because she and I did it together. Yeah. When she died, she left a will. She gave away dresses, jewelry, even a little cash. But she knew what I wanted. The table you eat on means everything. It's the one time in the day the whole family is together. This is where you share things. People who eat out all the time don't get to be a family. When I'm gone, if you and Josie get married, this'll be your table.
Maybe you'll let me polish it with you one day.
No. When your wife has a little girl, send her over. She and I will polish it.
Maybe we'll have twins. You can polish it twice as fast.
Twins? What are you doing? Don't follow me like that. You make me nervous.
I'm not following you. I just feel like talking to you.
Talking?
I love it when you tell me about the old days.
The old days? I don't even remember them anymore. They were such a long time ago.
When you just told me about the dining room table. That was a long time ago.
Well, that's it.
What was your grandmother like?
Tiny. Little bit of a thing. All the women were small in those days, but when I was 9 years old, I was bigger than she was. My grandfather had to pick her up to see the Statue of Liberty.
That must have been some day.
This is what they dreamed of all their life, to get to America. And when they saw that statue, they started to cry. The women were wailing, the men were shaking, everybody praying. You know why?
Because they were free.
Because they took one look at that statue and said, this is not a Jewish woman, we're going to have problems again.
Pulitzer Prize-winning drama Fences, August Wilson remembers America's black men and women of an only slightly distant past. He writes, they lived in pursuit of their own dream, that they could breathe free and stand to meet life with a force of dignity and whatever eloquence the heart could call upon. James Earl Jones and Courtney B. Vance are the father and son trying to reach across both a family and the struggle of that dream.
Can I ask you a question?
What the hell you want to ask me? Mrs. Stawicki is the one you got the questions for.
How come you ain't never liked me?
Liked you? Who in the hell ever said, I got to like you? What law is there to say, I got to like you? Do you want to stand up in my face and ask me some damn fool-ass question like that? Talk about liking somebody. Come here, boy, when I talk to you. Straighten up, goddammit. Ask your question. What law is there to say, I got to like you?
None.
All right, then. Don't you eat every day? Answer me when I talk to you. Don't you eat every day?
Yeah.
Nigga, as long as you living in my house, you put a sir on the end of it when you talk to me.
Yes, sir.
You eat every day.
Yes, sir.
Got a roof over your head.
Yes, sir.
And clothes on your back.
Yes, sir.
Why you think that is?
Because of you.
Hell, I know it's because of me. Why do you think that is?
Because you like me.
Like you. I go out of here every morning and bust my butt putting up with them crackers all day long because I like you. You is the biggest fool I ever saw. It is my job. It is my responsibility. You understand that? A man got to take care of his family. You live in my house. You sleep your behind on my bedclothes. You put my food in your belly because you are my son. You are my flesh and blood, not because I like you. It is my duty to take care of you. I owe a responsibility to you. Wait now. Let's get this straight right now. But go along any further. I ain't got to like you. Mr. Rand, don't give me my money come payday because he liked me. He give me because he owe me. Now, I didn't give you everything I had to give you. I gave you your life. Your mama and me worked it out between us. And liking your black ass was not a part of the bargain, and don't you try and go through life worried if somebody like you or not. You best make sure that they are doing right by you. You understand what I'm saying, boy?
Yes, sir.
Then you get the hell out of my face and go on down under A&P.
Good evening, I'm Richard Chamberlain. A great director once described his profession as part policeman, part midwife, part dreamer, and all bastard. The four men and women nominated as director of a play are clearly the best of all that. The nominees are Howard Davies, Liaisons Dangereuses, Mbogeni Ngema, Asinamali, Lloyd Richards, Fences, and Carol Rothman, Coastal Disturbances. And the winner is Lloyd Richards, Fences.
No one who stands here stands alone. It's impossible to thank all of the people who are here with me. Just a few. August Wilson, thank you for the beautiful words and the music with the words. Jim Sandifer, who created a set for us to work in. Candy, who created the costumes. Danianne, who painted with lights. And the actors, each and every one, who created a life and then lived it in epic and simple way in that space. Cal Schornstein Hayes, for truth and for courage. Barbara Davenport, for sensitivity, perception, patience, and impatience. And you, the people of the theater, who think it appropriate that I stand here and represent all of the wonderful directors who have been nominated. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Walter Matthau.
When people talk about the great theaters of the world, they'll usually mention the Globe in Stratford, the Palace in New York, or the Comédie Française in Paris. They tend to leave out a small temple in La Trobe, Pennsylvania. Where for a while during the 50s they had a rabbi named Jacob Mazza, or to translate from the Hebrew, Jackie Mason. Mr. Mason's view of the world was so unique and fascinating that people came from hundreds of miles around to hear him. When he started noticing a couple of Baptists and Episcopalians in the congregation, he knew that something was up. After a while, he left the constraints of theological life and headed for the broader and rangier fields of the Catskill Mountains, where the development of his craft and education progressed at an alarming rate. When Jackie Mason's The World According to Me opened on Broadway this year, the New York Times described him as an essayist, a commentator, and observer of how people and society work. He put it in his own way. In the clubs, I was just another character from Brooklyn, and now I'm art. Indeed he is. He's a superb social critic, a profound and hilarious chronicler of our life and times. And if he needed further proof of that, the American Theater Wing has voted a special Tony to Mr. Jackie Mason.
Thank you. It's a touching experience. I tell you the truth, I never expected this. I'm amazed at it. I still can't believe that it's me, and I don't know where they found Walter Matthau to give it to me. I'll tell you the truth, I'm really in a state of shock here because I don't know who to thank for this. Nobody believed in this whole show. I'd like to thank my cast, but I got no cast. I don't know who to thank. I'd like to thank the director. I'd like to thank the writer, but I'm the director and I'm the writer. I don't think it looks nice for me to thank myself here. I'll tell you the truth, if not for me, there would be no show here at all. It's like an American dream. Who would ever expected this? But I want to tell you this, I'm really not responsible for this whole show. I don't have enough confidence in myself to even believe it could be possible. There's a young, beautiful little lady who happens to be my manager by the name of Jill Rosenfeld, who thought of this whole idea when I didn't believe in it. And there's one man, Nick Vanoff, whom I love dearly, who's been my closest friend and the greatest producer in the history of this business, who put up all his money and all his love to make it possible when even I didn't believe it would be a hit on Broadway. And I want to thank my father, because my father, I know, was very disappointed when I decided not to become a rabbi and when I gave up the rabbinate. But I want to tell you something, I really feel that if he ever dreams to see the day that I would be standing here with a Tony Award in my hands, he would have been just as proud and touched as I am right now, because he would have never lived to get over it. It's an unbelievable experience. It's an unbelievable experience. I want to take this opportunity to wish you all the very best and thank you very much for making this possible. I feel like Ronald Reagan right now. Because Ronald Reagan, let's be honest about it, he was an actor all his life. knew nothing about politics and became the President of the United States. Here I am, an ex-rabbi who knew nothing about acting, and I'm holding a Tony Award in my hand. It proves an amazing thing that if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what you're doing at all, you can become the biggest man in your field.
Thank you. The nominees for Best Choreography are Ron Field, Rags, Gillian Gregory, Me and My Girl, Brian McDonald, The Mikado, Arlene Phillips, Starlight Express, and tonight's Tony Award goes to Gillian Gregory, Me and My Girl. Gillian is in London, and she couldn't be with us this evening, but I know that she is very, very happy. Thank you.
The nominees for Best Director of a Musical are Brian McDonald, The Mikado, Trevor Nunn and John Caird, Les Misérables, Trevor Nunn, Starlight Express, and Mike Arkrent, Me and My Girl. And the winner is Trevor Nunn and John Caird, Les Misérables.
Just to be on the same stage as my two presenters overwhelms me and makes me feel extremely lonely because I'm only half of a team here this evening. My dearest friend and closest colleague and partner, John Caird, isn't here at the moment. He's in Tokyo directing, you've only got one guest, Les Misérables. John's absence tonight just leads me to consider how important our partnership was, and how important partnership is throughout our work in the theatre, everybody's work in the theatre. I guess it's no accident that we remember lots of famous names in twos like Kaufman and Hart and Rodgers and Hammerstein and Lerner and Lowe and Sondheim and Sondheim and Rice and Lloyd Webber. And it can't be too long before everyone will think of these two names, Boublil and Schoenberger, as household names. Partnership. Les Misérables only came to the stage at all because of a unique partnership between a daring and risk-taking commercial producer, Cameron Mackintosh, and one of Britain's two state-subsidized national theatre companies, the Royal Shakespeare Company. That partnership had never happened before, and I truly hope that many such partnerships will happen again. There is an extraordinary unspoken partnership between all of the people who did the show in London, who I honor tonight, and the wonderful American cast who play Les Misérables here. The only partnership that I personally feel could do with a little bit of improvement, a little bit more effort, is the partnership that should exist at all times between those people who perform and present theatre and those people who write about it and criticize it. That partnership needs much cherishing and much love, and I think we need a little bit more of that at the moment. On behalf of my partner and to all my partners, thank you.
For a performer, that sense of home that we spoke of can be found in many places. On the stage of a theater, on the set of a film, wherever one finds that magic which makes us all come to life. Sometimes you find it in a song, or in the words you're saying, or in another actor's eyes. This year, the theater lost a friend. His energy, his enthusiasm, and the joy of his great talent just came at you in a way that almost dazed you. It almost dared you not to be lifted up by its spell. His name was Robert Preston.
I can deal with a troubled friends with a wave of my hand, this very hand. Please observe me if you will. I'm Professor Harold Hill, and I'm here to organize a River City Boys band.
For all of us who ever knew and worked with Bob, two of his leading ladies have come here tonight to remember and celebrate that man and his magic, Bernadette Peters and Barbara Cook.
Time heals everything. Tuesday, Thursday. Time heals everything. April, August. If I am patient, the break will mend. And one fine morning, the hurt will end. So make the moments fly, autumn, winter. I'll forget you by next year, some year, though it's hell that I'm going through. Some Tuesday, Thursday, April, August, autumn, winter, next year, some year. Time heals everything. Time heals everything. But loving you. There were bells on the hill, but I never heard them ringing. No, I never heard them at all till there was you. There were birds in the sky, but I never saw them winging. No, I never saw them at all till there was you. And there was music, and there were wonderful No, I never heard it at all. Till there
Very much. All my life has been full of circles. People who have been in my life always seem to come back sometime years later. And this happened with Robert Preston and his wife, Catherine. We met at Paramount Studio, and I had made a picture with Robert called New York Town. He had just married Catherine, who was a lovely actress. And I had just married story editor of Paramount, Richard Halliday. And one day, years later, our circle would bring us all together again, but this time in New York City, in a musical called I Do, I Do. The story of a marriage of 50 years. I would like to sing this song, this last song, in that show, for Catherine, for Richard, and for Robert, from his Agnes, me. This has been a very good house ever since we married. It has kept both of us cozy and warm. This has been a very good house. It has been our shelter, and it's seen many a storm. Marriage is a very good thing, though it's far from easy. Still, it's filled this house with life and love. Thank you. Tonight, the American Theater Wing joins us in honoring Robert's memory with the Lawrence Langner Award for Distinguished Lifetime Achievement in the Theaters. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Catherine Preston.
Robert loved the theater, and this means the theater loved him back. Thank you.
And now the president of the American Theater Wing, Isabel Stevenson, and Mark Hamill, currently appearing on Broadway.
Good evening. I'd like you to meet a good friend of mine and the New York Theater, Mark Hamill.
Thank you, Isabel. You know, this year I had the good fortune of joining a group of distinguished actors at a seminar on working in the theater produced by the American Theater Wing.
And thanks to a special grant, the Wing will be sending out hundreds of free videotapes of that seminar and others to universities across the country.
In the past year, with the help of hundreds of contributors and volunteers, the American Theater Wing has been busier than ever in its service to the community, bringing the companies of Broadway and off-Broadway shows to hospitals, so that those unable to attend theater could still share the magic of live performances.
In addition, the Saturday Theater for Children program introduces the joys of professional theater to a young and enthusiastic audience, who one day might just be on the stage themselves.
That's true. And tonight is the night of nights for the American Theater Wing, their 41st annual Antoinette Perry Tony Awards. I'd like to congratulate all of this year's nominees.
And everyone who's made this evening a very special one for the American Theater Wing, an organization I'm very proud of indeed.
Rightly so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The American Theater Wing's Tony Awards will return in a moment.
Alexander. Thank you again. There are many wonderful things about redoing the classics. It's a chance to sink your teeth into some of the greatest roles ever created, or to find new and exciting life in a celebrated work. But I think the best thing about doing a revival is, you know, there aren't going to be any rewrites. The nominees for Best Revival of a Play or a Musical are Arthur Miller's All My Sons, Hecht and MacArthur's The Front Page, Charles Dickens and David Edgar's The Life and Adventures of Nicholas Nickleby, and George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion. And the winner is All My Sons.
I'm Steve Warnick, and I would like to take this opportunity to let you know how proud we all are about the contribution All My Sons has made to this wonderful Broadway season this year, and to thank our compatriots in New Haven, in Washington, in Boston, and here in New York who have worked so hard and passionately about this American play about human truths and values. And finally, to thank all of you for affirming and acknowledging our efforts here this evening. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank Arthur Miller, Arvin Brown, and Edgar Rosenblum from the Long Wharf Theater, my wife, and my 12-year-old daughter, Holly, who without her encouragement, we would have never gotten off the ground. Thank you very much.
The author of our third nominee for Best Play,
has said the reason one writes is to be able to do things better, to present yourself better, to rewrite your life. By writing for the theater, you get the fantastic chance to make everything come out the way you want it to. In her play, Coastal Disturbances, Tina Howe presents us with a collection of lives seeking a summer's refuge on a private beach. Timothy Daly and Annette Benning are the two young people desperately hoping it will all come out all right as they finally face that terrifying and exhilarating moment when someone has to be the first to say, "I love you."
God, I love this beach.
Yeah.
It's so comforting to think it's always been here.
Mm-hmm.
Before the Pilgrims, before Christopher Columbus, before the Indians even.
Yeah.
That's funny. You never picture Indians being at the beach. But they must have been. Can't you just see it? Teepee cabanas dotting the sand. Braves surfboarding on totem poles. You know what I read in a book? That the island of Atlantis was really inhabited by dolphins.
Come on.
No. It's true. They used to have legs and live on land.
Sure.
Oh, come on. Everyone knows that dolphins are more like us than any other species. They probably had colonies right here, on this very spot. I can feel it. Well, they were tremendously social, you know. They love to party. During the mating season, out came the dancing shoes, and there'd be this stampede down the Atlantic coast. The men, or bulls, I guess you'd call them, wearing seaweed tuxedos with mother-of-pearl studs. Don't you love it how they always call male sea animals bulls? Whoa, I caught me a great bull walrus today. Oh, God. Can't you see it? Wall-to-wall dolphins boogieing from Miami clear up to Canada. This pulsing silver tide for as far as the eye can see. The surf creeping higher and higher, packing them in. Lovesick couples sinking down to the ground. Flippers arching, backs yielding. Avalanches of seaweed and sand starting to roll. Why do I feel weird?
Ta-da! I've got you now.
To a friend, the 18th century French author Laclos spoke of wanting to write something out of the ordinary, eye-catching, something that would resound around the world long after I have left it. His novel of two former lovers trapped in a deadly game of passion and revenge has been adapted by the modern British playwright Christopher Hampton. It is brought to life by the Royal Shakespeare Company for us now. Lindsay Duncan is the mistress of this deadly game, and Alan Rickman, the master, challenged to win another woman's love in Liaisons Dangereuses.
I've already explained to you how much I enjoy watching the battle between love and virtue.
What concerns me is that you appear to enjoy watching it more than you used to enjoy winning it.
All in good time.
The century is drawing to its close, Vicomte.
It's true, she has resisted me for more than 2 months now, and that's very nearly a record, but I really don't want to hurry things. We go for a walk together almost every day. A little further down the path that has no turning. She's accepted my love. I've accepted her friendship. We're both aware how little there is to choose between them. Her eyes are closing. Every step she tries to take away from the inevitable conclusion brings her a little closer to it. Hopes and fears, passion and suspense, even if you're in the theater, what more could you ask?
An audience?
No, but you're my audience. And when Jacques is married and Madame de Tourvel eventually collapses, we shall tell everyone, sure enough. And the story will spread much faster than the plot of the latest play, and I've no doubt it'll be much better received.
I hope you're right, Vicomte. I wish I could share your confidence.
I'm really sorry, our agreement does not relate to the task you set me, rather than the task I set myself.
I am grateful, of course, but that would have been almost insultingly simple. One does not applaud the tenor for clearing his throat.
Ladies and gentlemen, Swoosie Kurtz and John Lithgow.
Thank you. Swoosie here was once quoted as saying, the most exciting kind of acting is when the actor is almost unrecognizable in the part. Call it character acting if you want, but it goes beyond that. The reason I wanted to become an actor, she said, was to get away from myself. To be someone else and to have a whole other set of problems and a whole other point of view is like being given a set of wings.
God, that's beautiful. It's true. First there's the work, and then the wings, and every once in a while, if you're very, very lucky, and the gods smile on you, there's a night like tonight. The nominees for Best Performance by a featured actress in a play are Mary Alice for Fences, Annette Bening for Coastal Disturbances, Phyllis Newman for Broadway Bound, Carol Shelley for Stepping Out. And the winner is Mary Alice for Fences.
Thank you. This is indeed a blessing. I thank the American Theater Wing, the nominating committee, and the Tony voters. Above all, I thank the divine intelligence, God. I accept this tribute in memory of my beloved father, Sam Smith. I send my love to my mother, Ozella, brother Earl, sister Essie Johnson, and all my family and friends everywhere, especially Mary Dean, Leroy Jernigan, Jim Millette, Edith Davis, and my niece, Deborah Johnson. I share this award with August Wilson, Lloyd Richards, Carol Shorenstein Hayes, Ben Mordecai, James Earl Jones, Charles Brown, Frankie Faison, Courtney Vance, Ray Arana, Karima Miller, and everyone associated with Fences. Thank you all.
The nominees for Best Performance by a Featured Actor in a Play are Frankie R. Faison in Fences, John Randolph in Broadway Bound, Jamie Sheridan in All My Sons, and Courtney B. Vance in Fences. And the Tony Award goes to John Randolph in Broadway Bound.
I mean, it's a grand and glorious way to come back to Broadway, I tell you. I want to take 5 seconds off my time to ask you if you feel the way I do that this has been a mind-blowing evening so far. I'm just honored and excited to get this award. You know, I didn't go into acting to win any awards. I just couldn't do anything else. And being honored by your colleagues and peers with a Tony was worth 47 years of struggling as an actor. I must thank Neil Simon for the 77-year-old colorful rebel I play, so beautifully written with humor, and representing those of us who have passed 70 on this earth as still being filled with life and fighting spirit no matter what shape the body looks like on the outside. However, nothing comes alive in this beautifully crafted and etched play by Neil without the fantastic ensemble work of the talented actors, Linda Lavin, Phil Sterling, Jonathan Silverman, Jason Alexander, and Phyllis Newman. All of this under the superb direction of Gene Sachs and the producing genius of Manny Eisenberg, who gave us a backstage crew of office staff and standbys who helped make Broadway Bound a hit. Now, in closing, though I love my family and friends out there, I accept this Tony in the name of my wife, Sarah Cunningham, who passed away last year, and graced my life for 44 years as a wife, mother, activist, and superb actress. I thank you all. I'm glad I'm back in the theater world again. Our first love that sustained us through rough times. Peace, love, and brown rice to all of you. Thank you.
The 41st Annual Tony Awards are sponsored by the American Express card. Membership has its privileges. Don't leave home without it.
Perhaps the most wonderful and terrible thing about theater is that it's a memory. No matter how many times you've played a scene or performed a song, each moment lives just once. A dear friend and I both won our first Tonys for a musical that we did a few years ago. And when I heard that she was going to be on this show, I phoned her and quite greedily asked for a chance to relive one of those memories just once more.
Bosom buddies, friends, sisters, and pals. We'll always be bosom buddies. If life should reject you, there's me to protect you. If I say that your tongue is vicious,
if I call you uncouth,
it's simply that. Who else but a bosom buddy will sit down and tell you the truth? Though now and again I'm aware that my candid opinion may sting.
Though often my frank observation might scald. I've been meaning to tell you for years you should keep your hair natural like mine.
If I kept my hair natural like yours, I'd be bald. But, sweetie, we'll always be dear companions. My crony,
my mate.
We'll always be harmonizing. Orphan Annie and Sandy,
like Amy
Thomas and Andy. If I say that your sense of style's as far off as your youth, it's simply that. Who else but a bosom buddy will tell you the whole stinking truth?
I feel it's my duty to tell you it's time to adjust to your age. You try to be peg of my heart when you're Lady Macbeth. Exactly. How old are you, Vera? The truth.
How old do you think?
Oh, I'd say somewhere between 40 and deaf.
But sweetie, I'll always be Alice Toklas if you be Gertrude Stein. And though I'll admit I've dished you, I've gossiped and gloated, but I'm so devoted.
And if I say that sex and guts made you into a star, remember that. Who else but a bosom buddy will tell you how rotten you are?
Just turn to your bosom buddy for aid and affection, for help and direction, for loyalty, love, and mercy. Remember that. Who else but a bosom buddy will sit down and level and think of the devil will sit down and tell you the truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Tandy and Hume Cronin.
Some of you out there are all too familiar with actors' nightmares. You know the kind. You're standing center stage, stark naked. You don't know what play it is, but you're pretty sure it isn't O Calcutta. This can be dangerous territory up here. Anything can happen, and frequently does. I've endured 2 full-scale riots in the audience, in one of which Mr. Lee Schubert, standing in the back, trying to quell the disturbance, and got knocked flat on his bottom. There have been fires backstage, heart attacks out front, things thrown, booze, and of course your fellow actor who has somehow managed to lock himself into the 3rd floor lavatory when he's supposed to be right there giving you your next line. And the curtain won't come down. As I said, dangerous territory. It takes courage. And that's just one of the qualities we're here to celebrate tonight. 21 years ago, I sat just about there, 4th row of the Mark Hellinger Theater, and I sat next to a very worried actor. He was brooding because he had to sing a song, and he didn't have much of a voice. And he finally broke his silence, pulled his nose, which is a trick of his, and turned to the person on his right and said, "You know, it's very exposed up there." Of course, this particular actor didn't have to worry. It was Rex Harrison, and the musical play was My Fair Lady.
we're proud to present all those courageous men and women who have been nominated as Best Actor and Actress in a Play. The nominees for Best Performance by a Leading Actor in a Play are Philip Bosco, You Never Can Tell; James Earl Jones, Fences; Richard Kiley, All My Sons; Alan Rickman, Liaisons Dangereuses. And the... And the winner is James Earl Jones.
I'm not going to pay you off, Hume. I have a list here. I want to express my thanks and appreciation to my producer, Mrs. Carol Schoenstein-Hayes, to my playwright, Mr. August Wilson, and my director, Dean Lloyd Richards of Yale Rep, for their patience and for their passion. My fellow actors, Mary Alice, Courtney Vance, Frankie Faison, Ray Arana, Charlie Brown, and Karima Miller for the thrill of their company on stage. To all the people backstage, including Officer Barnes of NYPD, for making our working days productive and pleasant. To my wife, Cecilia, for her challenging questions and her patient listening. To my son, Flynn, for accepting that Papa goes to the play to work. My agent, Lucy Kroll, who has made it all worth my while. The American Theater Wing, for my first 2 years of training. And to my incomparable fellow nominees, for their brotherhood. Thank you very much.
The nominees for Best Performance by a Leading Actress in a Play are Lindsay Duncan, Les Liaisons Dangereuses; Linda Lavin, Broadway Bound; Geraldine Page, Blithe Spirit; Amanda Plummer, Pygmalion. And the winner is Linda Lavin, Broadway Bound.
I'm so glad you like my work. I'm so proud. I'm so moved and so grateful. This is my first Tony. It's been a long time waiting for this moment. Can you imagine? I've thought of nothing else for the last 30 days. I've missed entrances and exits. I've flubbed lines. I've written this speech 3 million times. And here it is. What I want to say is, I'm grateful to Neil Simon for the insight of his bountiful writing, which gets me in touch with all the women I come from, all the women in me, so that I am so fulfilled to play this wonderful character. To Gene Sachs for his commitment to the joy, the passion of acting and exploration. To a company of actors who make the Moscow Art Theater look lazy. To my loved ones who have made and continue to make this journey with me. And to those of you out there who aspire to this moment and this trophy, as I have for these years, I wish you well, I wish you hope. And to those of you who have wished this for me and bestowed this trophy on me, thank you. Thank you all very much.
The 41st Annual Tony Awards will continue. Sponsored by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
This season, some of the creators of Annie, Pippin, and Fiddler on the Roof combined their talents to tell the story of this city's immigrants at the turn of the century. Their show is no longer with us, but the opinions of those who experienced its haunting study of our ancestors' dreams and despair have made it this year's third musical nominee. Judy Kuhn and Dick Latessa in the title song from Rags.
Bella! Open your eyes, Bella. Just take a breath.
Please don't tell me that again. Don't tell me how it all belongs to me. Just take a breath, Bella. Not outdoors, Papa. Every time I take a breath, I gag. Open your eyes, Bella. No, open yours, Papa. Mine are open wide, and let me tell you what I see.
Get back in the house.
Rags. Rags. This land of freedom we had to run to, and now we're free, just like everyone, to wear rags. It's all day seeing them, all day smelling them, all day listening to peddlers selling them. Rags! Rags! I live in rags, and so I run in style all the while. Sewing, sewing, see us sewing. Hags, we turn to hags. It happens bit by bit. Picture it, Papa. There I sit, sewing buttons on rags. Dreams, give me dreams of such a golden place.
All your dreams, they will come true.
You gave me dreams of such a golden place.
All your dreams,
silk and lace,
will come true.
Milk and honey.
Soon,
oh, that's
soon.
Lies. That's all it seems.
Just wait and see.
And now the dreams
time, things take time.
Use your eyes, Papa.
Give it time.
No more lies, Papa. Leave me alone. Here's where the beauty is, where the party is. See that handsome gent, look how smart he is. Dancing by in his fancy clothes, and he sneers at me down his perfect nose. And his hair is clean and his skin is clear, and he wonders what is she doing here. And he turns his back and the rest who do. And I want to scream, I'm the same as you, but it isn't true. I'm just one more Jew in her.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sheena Rivera and the composer and lyricist of Mame, Hello Dolly, and La Cage aux Folles, Jerry Herman.
When you do a musical, you never forget the time the composer comes to you and plays what eventually becomes your song. That has happened to me in West Side Story with America and Chicago with All That Jazz. These are the treasures that you carry for the rest of your life.
The nominees for the Best Original Score, Music and Lyrics, written for the theater, are Les Misérables, music Claude Michel Schoenberg, lyrics Herbert Kretzmer and Alan Boule Beale. Me and My Girl, music Noel Gay, lyrics L. Arthur Rose and Douglas Ferber. Rags, music Charles Strauss, lyrics Stephen Schwartz. Starlight Express, music Andrew Lloyd Webber, lyrics Richard Stilgoe. And the winner is Les Misérables. Music, Claude Michel Schoenberg.
As a composer of the show, I would like to thank Giacomo Puccini, who took the decision not to write the opera he was prepared to compose with Les Misérables. Merci beaucoup.
Well, I just want to thank the American company for being so wonderful every evening, and the American public for welcoming so warmly our show every evening. Thank you.
We have sought in Les Misérables to capture something of the essence of a wonderful book. And these awards and full houses in London and New York every night encourage us to believe that we have done something of which we are proud. Thank you, Broadway, for your wonderful welcome.
All of us who work in the musical theater depend on the book of a musical for our support and inspiration.
The nominees for the best book of a musical are Les Misérables, book by Alain Boublil and Claude Michel Schoenberg. Me and My Girl, book by L. Arthur Rose, Douglas Ferber, Stephen Fry, and Mike Ockrent. Rags, book by Joseph Stein, and Smile, book by Howard Ashman. And the Tony goes to Les Misérables, book by Alan Boublil and Claude Michel Schoenberg.
And now I want to thank a very special lady, Miss Sophie Trebuchet, the Victor Hugo's mother, for giving life to such a genius.
Just wish to add that Victor Hugo, when he finished writing Les Misérables, was living in England, but he didn't live long enough to meet Cameron Mackintosh. Fortunately, we did. And he introduced us to some of the most talented creators of that world, especially Trevor Nunn and John Caird, who have tremendously helped us reshaping that book for which we are awarded. Granting us this award takes us back really to where it all started, back in Paris in 1979, where only the two of us dreamed that our work would one day become a stage musical. Merci beaucoup.
Au revoir.
I'm Kathleen Turner. My stage debut in New York was at the Soho Repertory Company Theater in a play that I'm afraid was not very much seen.
Until I went to the playwright's wedding a couple of months ago and was amazed to be complimented by so many people on my performance 10 years ago. Of course, they were all his family. I was very touched and figured that I'd done quite a good job of it until this very sweet woman asked me, had I worked since? Well, what I've done since, beyond just other things, is I've been at the Manitoba Theatre Center, at the Arena Stage, at the Kennedy Center, and this year at the Long Wharf in New Haven. And we've all heard film actors speak about their hearts being in the theater. And if it weren't me talking, I would really be sick of it. But the truth is that the stages of Off-Broadway and the regional theaters around the United States are very important to us. They're where we've come from and where we go back to. So for a moment, we'd like to pay tribute to them. Far from the mainstream of Broadway, newcomers got their start. And young playwrights were heard for the first time. It offered a place for risk and discovery. All across the country, these stages are challenging and encouraging the best of this country's talent. One of the most vital of these regional companies is the San Francisco Mime Company. Since 1959, its members have worked toward their goal, to inform through satire and convince through laughter that in every tragic circumstance is the hope of change. Accepting the 1987 Regional Theater Award, along with a $15,000 grant from the American Express Company, are Sharon Lockwood and Eduardo Robledo from the San Francisco Mime Troupe.
Thank you. First of all, we'd like to thank our audience, the ones who sit and brave the fog in the parks of San Francisco, and the ones who see us on tour all over the country. We'd like to thank the American theater critics who voted us this award for recognizing the importance of the kind of theater we do. In spite of our name, we are not silent. We do not do silent meme. We perform original musical plays about moral fascism, U.S. foreign policy, the price of beans, all to inspire people that they should raise hell till every person on this planet can live a decent and peaceful life. Also, we'd like to say thanks and ride on to American Express for taking its money out of South Africa and giving some of it to us.
Thank you. We'd like to dedicate this award to Ben Linder, a juggling engineer from Portland, Oregon, who went to Nicaragua to help the people of Nicaragua, and there was murdered by Contra terrorists funded by the United States. In his spirit, we'd like to have everybody work for peace in Central America and the world. Hasta siempre.
Setting out to dramatize Victor Hugo's classic novel of 19th century France, the creators of our fourth musical nominee found their inspiration in the traditions of both grand opera and the American musical comedy. The story of every people's fight to better themselves as seen through the life of one man. Ladies and gentlemen, the cast of Les Misérables.
And that's all you can say for the life of the poor. It's a struggle, it's a war, and there's nothing that anyone's giving or are they standing about. What is it for? But they less to be living. At the end of the day, you're another day colder. And the shirt on your back doesn't keep up the chill. And the righteous hurry past, they don't hear the little ones crying, and
one day more. Another day, another destiny, this never-ending road to Calvary. These men who seem to know my crime will surely come a second time one day more.
How can I live when we are parted?
One day more.
Tomorrow you'll be worlds away, and yet with you my world has started.
One more day alone my own.
We'll meet again.
One more day with him, no care. What a life I might have known.
I swear it will be true.
But he never saw me there.
One more day before the storm, at the barricade of freedom, when our ranks begin to form. Do I stand? Do I dare? Will you take your place with me?
One more day till revolution. We will nip it in the bud. We'll be ready for these schoolboys. They will wet themselves with blood.
Catch them as they fall. Never know your luck when there's a free-for-all. Here a little dip, there a little touch. Most of them are goners, so they won't miss much.
One day too, and you'll be hearing a flag of freedom high. Every man will be a king. Every man will be a king. There's a new world for the winning. There's a new world to be won. Do you hear the people sing? My place is here. I fight with you. One day more.
Firemen, lawyers, people's heroes.
Tomorrow we'll discover what our God in heaven has in store. One more dawn, one more day, one day
We're here to present the awards for Best Performance by an Actor and Actress in a Musical.
Yes, well, Bernadette, you and I have been fortunate enough to find ourselves in this particular category once or twice over the years, and sometimes we won, sometimes we lost. But I think we both agree that just to get a nomination is a really very great honor. Of course, if you win, it's much, much nicer. The nominees for Best Performance by a Leading Actress in a Musical are Catherine Cox for O Coward, Marianne Plunkett for Me and My Girl, Teresa Stratus for Rags, and the Tony Award goes to Marianne Plunkett for Me and My Girl.
Boy, thank you. I wrote something, but I just want, 20 seconds is not a long time to thank everyone. I want to thank the Tony voters, all the people who make up my New England roots, all the people in New York who have been so kind to me and given me a chance to play some dream roles. Most of all, to the Me and My Girl Company, which is that rare thing, a family. On stage, backstage, upstairs, downstairs, in front of the stage, right down the line. And most of all, though, to Stanley Lebowski. Stanley, thanks.
The nominees for Best Performance by a Leading Actor in a Musical are Roderick Cook, Oh Coward; Robert Lindsay, Me and My Girl; Terrence Mann, Les Misérables; Colm Wilkinson, Les Misérables; and the winner is Robert Lindsay, Me and My Girl.
Can you imagine how I feel being an English actor holding this on Broadway? It is quite an extraordinary feeling. To everyone in the green room, I know, hi. And everyone in the theatre, Marianne said it all. I don't need to say any more, but I'd just like to thank Richard Armitage. Richard, you were right. Thank you.
Annual Tony Awards will continue. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Close and William Hurt.
This year, the Tonys for Best Play and Musical are being presented after all the other awards. Now, this isn't necessarily because they're more important. It's simply a matter of natural progression.
Every other person who has been up here tonight, every nominee in every category is a part of this moment. The nominees for Best Play are Broadway Bound, Coastal Disturbances, Fences, Les Liaisons Dangereuses. And the Tony Award the winner is Fences. Author, August Wilson. Producer, Carol Sorensen Hayes. Yale Repertory Theater.
This is for my daughter, Sakina, my family, and all the Troy Maxons. I want to thank Lloyd Richards, who has afforded me the opportunity of working with one of the giants of the American theater. I am, by my association with him, in continual honor. Carol Shorenstein Hayes, whose belief and commitment to this work, I thank her and I salute her courage. Ben Mordecai, who's both a friend and professional associate, has proved invaluable. John Braylio for bringing the play to the attention of Mrs. Hayes. And I would like to thank all the wonderful people at the Yale Repertory Theater, the Goodman Theater, and Seattle Repertory Theater for allowing me to continue to work on the play. And most importantly, my wife, Judy Oliver, who's been there at 3 o'clock in the morning when the rest of the world has been asleep. Thank you very much.
I think I'm going to give birth right now.
Thank you. The nominees for Best Musical are Les Misérables, Me and My Girl, Rags, and Starlight Express. And the American Theatre Wing's Tony Award for the Best Musical of the Year goes to Les Misérables.
Well, unlike Jackie Mason, I've got so many people to thank that if I was to do so, I think I'd turn this evening into a mini-series. So I won't. I will just say that I have been incredibly lucky to work with some brilliant people on this show, and I'm terribly grateful to Claude Michel and Alain for having created this wonderful piece of work, and for the Theatre Wing to have honoured so many of us tonight and so many of my friends. Thank you all very much. Bye-bye.
The awards will continue.
We'd like to close this evening by marking the very special birthday of one of the theater's great writers, directors, a man who has blessed us with his wit, style, and talent since 1913, and who even today continues to work and entertain us at the glorious age of 100, Mr. George Abbott.
Angela didn't fool you, did she?
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Helen Hayes.
You didn't think I was George Abbott coming out here, did you? She didn't fool you. I think I was invited here tonight to tell you, to pay tribute to George Abbott and tell you how he made me a star in the American theater by writing a play and directing it called Coquette back in 1926. I am most grateful for that, of course, and will always be. But I have a treasured memory of the man that even transcends my gratitude for that play. I went to see a matinee once, long before I ever met him, a play called Xander the Great, and the leading man was playing a role called Tex. Well, you never saw anything so handsome and romantic and such a beautiful actor, and he really gave me my first romantic thrill in a theater. So, that's the memory, and that's my chief gratitude to Mr. Abbott. Thank you, Mr. Abbott.
Sing me a happy song about robins in spring.
Sing me a happy song with a happy ending.
Some cheerful rondelay about hatching the ring. Sing happy.
From the two of us, and from every other kid who started in the chorus of a George Abbott show,
from everyone working in the musical theater today, we would like to say, thank you, Mr. Abbott.
Something familiar, something peculiar, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Old situations, new complications, nothing portentous or polite. Tragedy tomorrow, comedy tonight.
in love, but love is falling for make-believe. Falling in love with love is playing the fool. I fell in love with love everlasting. But love fell out with me.
Two lost souls on the highway of life. We ain't even got a sister or brother, but ain't it just great? Ain't it just grand? We've got each other. Two lost sheep from the wilds of the hills, far from the other Jacks and Jills. We wandered away and went astray, but we ain't fussing, 'cause we got us in.
Once in love with Amy, always in love with Amy, ever and ever fascinated by her, set your heart afire to stay. Once in love with Amy, always in love with Amy, ever and ever sweetly you'll romance her. Trouble is the answer will be that Amy'd rather stay in love with me.
I got Steve Need, I got Steve Need, I got Steve Need, but I need your love to keep away the cold. Travel more coal in the boiler. They told me travel more coal in the boiler. They told me travel more coal in the boiler. But that don't do no good. But I need your love to keep away the cold. Gotta have a heart. All you really need is heart. When the odds are saying you'll never win, that's when the grin should start. You gotta have hope. Mustn't sit around and hope. Nothing's half as bad as it may appear. Wait till next year and hope. When your luck is batting zero, get your chin up off the floor. Mister, you can be a hero. You can open any door. There's nothing to it but to do it. You gotta have heart. Miles and miles and miles of heart. Oh, it's fine to be a genius, of course, but take that old horse before the cart. First you gotta have heart. You gotta have heart. You gotta have
Thank you. I'm really ashamed at all the fuss that's being made over my birthday. I didn't plan it, but I'm glad I lasted so long. I tell people that it's because I love the theater so much that I thought I'd stick around. Most of you know that It is very exciting. It makes life worthwhile. I have to confess, I'm just in love with showbiz. And so, tonight, when you tell me that you think what I did was good, it makes me happy. Good night. Thank you.
The 41st Annual Tony Awards will continue.
That's it. Good night.
Good. You gotta have heart. Bosses in around the bar. Nothing's half as bad as it may
Air travel provided by United Airlines, the airline that flies to all 50 states.
Zero.